All right. Welcome, 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 everyone. I'm super excited that you are joining us live. And if you're watching on the replay, I'm super excited you're watching on the replay. We have been doing this whole week of Pinterest Palooza. So if you've missed past weeks, please circle back. If you're on Facebook, they're right here on my Facebook page. Same with other social platforms. We're live on all the socials that have live video anyway. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, Twitter, whichever way you want to say it, and LinkedIn Live. So um, wherever you are, if you want to watch the previous days, definitely tune into those. I want to do a quick intro to the faces that you see here. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Kim Garst. I'm an online business strategist, and I love using social media to grow my business, hence why we're talking about Pinterest this week. Pinterest is my number one social media traffic source, and it should be yours too. Hint, hint. And then we have the co-host of this, of our Pinterest Palooza, Jeff C. If you don't know Jeff, he is also a Pinterest pro in his own right. He founded Manly Pinterest Tips. You can probably tell from the beard he has here. And Holly Homer is just a genius when it comes to using Pinterest and Facebook, by the way, to really monetize her business. So we're going to pick her brain today a little bit on how she makes money with Pinterest. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times people will say, they want traffic, but I'm not sure exactly how that traffic equates to money. We're going to talk about that today. And I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor for the Pinterest Palooza, Tailwind. Y'all, Tailwind has this new thing, and it is like just stinking amazing. I'm just going to tell you. And if you want to check it out and get in their beta group, go to kimgarst.com/Tailwind Create. So let me tell you a little bit about what it is. It is a way for you to create, basically all you do is pop in your text and it'll generate, hint, hint, generate, not like you have to create it, generate all these different pin looks for you. So you can start from a practically done perspective. I love that. You don't have to try to figure out all the design elements or anything. It'll create a bunch of different pin designs for you. So go check it out, kimgarst.com/Tailwind Create. I think you're going to be blessed. Now, by the way, it does take a little bit of time to get in. So if you sign up for the beta, it may take a couple of days for them to approve you, but just know that they will, and you'll have a chance to get in on the beta group. Okay, so Jeff, are we starting out with questions or?
Yeah, so Holly's here, but I wanted to do a big thing because we have been giving away prizes all week. And by the way, we are giving away our grand prize of the week at the end of the show. So you want to stick around to see if you have won. We are doing, we're going to give away a free year of Tailwind. So you want to stick around and see that because it's an awesome tool. Yeah, Holly likes it too. So it's good.
So
but we're
good.
also giving away prizes throughout the show today. So we've got, we've been doing this all week. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw up a question on the screen, and we want you guys to actually do the hashtag pin it to win it, and then your answer. That way we can find them real easy because we got a lot of people who are trying to win these prizes. But we're going to give away a $15 Amazon gift card for the first one. You can't play, Kim. I'm sorry. So you can't. So you can play, but you can't win. We'll say that. All right. So here's the first question. What was the last recipe you made from Pinterest, and was it any good? So pin it to win it, the last recipe from Pinterest that you made, and was it any good? Hashtag pin it to win it with your answer. Hopefully we don't have too many Pinterest fails here, but Holly, what was the last thing that you made?
So I'm not not the world's best cook, not my strength. I have lots of other strengths, but I actually looked up baked chicken because I was trying to teach my college son how to do that because in my defense, I was raised vegetarian. So these are all new things to me.
So Instapot, which is a big thing on Pinterest. I got an Instapot a couple of years ago, and it said in the box, and it said in the box, and it said in the box. And finally I pulled it out of the box, and then I'm like, okay, I don't even know where, evidently I'd gotten it out of the box and I hadn't kept the instructions. So I'm like, how do I even use it? So I had to Google that. And then I got my first Pinterest. I got my first recipe from I'm trying to, it was I'm pretty sure it was a pot roast recipe is what we made the first time we used the Instapot. But I got the recipe, the directions right off Pinterest. How about you, Jeff?
So I think the last thing I cooked, there's tons of manly food on Pinterest, by the way. It's not all nail art and braids. So I think it was for, like, my son was coming home. We were watching, it may have been the Stars game when they were playing and didn't pull it out. But I think I did like a 5-layer dip that I looked up on some game day food, something easy we can make. So I think that was the last one we did. So,
well, here's some of the ones. Roasted Brussels sprouts. That actually sounds pretty good. But look at this one. Dill pickle dip?
Yum.
That sounds pretty good, right? And then 1 pan healthy sausage and veggies. Yeah, that sounds good too. Ooh, look at this one. Dark chocolate whoopie pies. What?
Oh.
All right, we're all going for that one.
See, a whoopie pie, that's one of those recipes that, like, there's certain things you have to buy, you can't make. Like, I can't make sushi, but you don't make that at home. I'm sorry. But, like, and a whoopie pie would be like that too. It's like, how would you make a whoopie pie? It's like homemade Twinkies. How? Why? And why?
I buy them from the farmer's market, though, so I know it's possible. Somebody made them. Yeah.
Really?
Exactly.
That's cool.
I mean, technically, somebody makes the whoopie pie.
I was gonna say, there was a factory somewhere making whoopie pie.
Right.
That's that one though, I have to say, is probably the most. And okay, so Pinterest fails. So I have to ask this question. So Andrea, I think it was Andrea who said the dark chocolate whoopie pies. Did they turn out? Like, one of the things I find fascinating is all the fails. Like, you'll see these amazing things on Pinterest and you try to create it and then it doesn't look exactly the same, right? Mm-hmm. So Andrea, did they turn out? Like, I mean, I can't even imagine trying a whoopie pie. Like, that would just be like, not even sure. So, and some people are like, oh, what's a whoopie pie?
So, Kim, we've had so much fun. Right? We haven't introduced our guest, and I can't pull up her bio for some reason, but you can just probably do it off the top of your head. Yeah, Holly's a great person we found on the street.
Amazing, but actually, let's let her tell everybody a little bit about herself.
Yes.
How about that? That comes across because she knows herself better than we do, probably. You know what I'm saying.
So I am a blogger, and I've been a blogger for many, many years. I think 15 now, and I run Kids Activities blog and the Quirky Mama Facebook page. And I have 3, almost 4 books out, and that are all in the kids space. So I use Facebook, Pinterest, and all sorts of stuff to drive traffic to my blog and make money.
And she's being a little modest, okay? She has millions of connections to people on her socials between Facebook and her Pinterest. And she's a multiple 7-figure business owner. So, and she uses Pinterest to make money, y'all. So that's why we want to pick her brain a little bit today on exactly that topic.
But first, we have a winner of our thing. So I want to pull that up. So the winner of our first giveaway of the day is Renee Ferguson. Congrats. You won the $15 Amazon gift card. Make sure that you go to kimgarst.com/Pinterest winner, enter all your deets, and we'll get that off to you. And so we got more prizes coming up. Like we said, we have the big prize at the end of the show. And if you like prizes, by the way, all next week, we are doing a very free video pin challenge. So you guys want to check this out because it's amazing. We've got we're going to be teaching in the morning, and then we're going to be like going over and getting questions and answers and reviewing stuff in the afternoon. So you want to make sure you guys go sign up for this. Go to pintoprofitchallenge.com. It's all free, but we're going to give away some more gifts as well. But it's going to be amazing. So excited for next week.
Yeah, we're a lot of the things you've learned this week, and from all of our amazing guests, we're going to try to get to a place where you can actually create your own video pins, which video pins are so important right now on Pinterest. And only a handful of people, literally, in the big picture, when it comes to the Pinterest platform, are using videos. So it is a huge opportunity right now. So our focus will be teaching you guys how to create those pins and start driving traffic with them to specific things that are going to drive a business result for you.
Mm-hmm.
while we're on that topic, make sure you go sign up for it if you haven't already, because like Jeff said, it's totally free. If you know someone that would get value from this, please sprinkle it out into the world. Let people know about it. And then the other thing I wanted to really key in on is the value for you guys as a business is, that implementation thing, taking action on your business. We're going to be coming alongside you with that next week. So don't miss out on the Pin to Profit Challenge. Now, all that to the side, let's ask Holly some questions. Are you ready? All right. So Jeff, you want to go first? Or you want?
So I always like to take a bird's eye view, because I always like, people who may be joining in and like, hey, I've just kind of dipped my toe in Pinterest and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So in a nutshell, Holly, how do you use Pinterest to make money? Kind of like your kind of the overview of how you use it in your kind of marketing strategy.
So my money is made on my blog by page views. So driving traffic to my blog, and because I have ads and sponsors and stuff like that pay me for the number of people that come to my blog. And then I also have products that I sell. And so driving traffic to those products that I sell also, which I sell on the blog and then also on Etsy and Teachers Pay Teachers and all these other places too. So it's really a traffic-based approach, which makes it easier for us to go in and then decide if something is working. And I think that's one of the things that, like, it's so overwhelming. All these social networks, you feel like you could just be on them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never make any progress. So we have to narrow down like what is going to make the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time, because we don't have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to do just one thing. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I would just highly recommend is, once you know how you're making money off the platform, so for me it's traffic driving, then everything that I do on Pinterest has to be towards that goal. So I always laugh and say, like, so I have a pin that's amazing and it's seen by lots and lots of people. It does me no good if it didn't cause click-throughs. So being Pinterest famous is awesome, but being Pinterest traffic driving is even better, because it actually pays the bills.
Yeah. And, we had this conversation yesterday. I was a guest over on Tailwind show yesterday, and the focus was just that. Lots of times people drive traffic using Pinterest, but when they get them back to their wherever it is they're driving the traffic, there's no mechanism for creating either a relationship touch point, like get them on your list, or to actually sell something. So you have to be prepared on your website or wherever you're driving them traffic with some sort of a call to action or some way for them to connect. And I'm hearing you say that too, where you have to have something. Otherwise, you've just you've attracted the right person and then had nothing for them once they outside of the one touch point. So,
can I ask a follow-up question on this? Because we were talking about, the traffic is the one way you monetize it, and you also have products. And so I was interested in, because Pinterest is moving towards the e-commerce direction with their product rich pins and their shop tab and everything that's coming out to sell products directly on the platform. Do you do that with like rich pins, or do you always drive them back to your blog before you sell? So,
it's interesting because these places change, and so anybody who's been on Pinterest for a while, they're like, it's kind of a roller coaster to a certain extent, trying to figure out, number one, what's effective and what is new and working and what is something that's still kind of in beta. And those of us who've been on Pinterest for a while knows that every once in a while they'll like roll something out that actually doesn't work in the long run. And then sometimes some things will work really amazingly. And this is not just on Pinterest. This is pretty much every, social media network, because like, this is all new. Like, this is the Wild West of the internet. So one of the things I would say is I'm always testing it. So a new feature comes out and we're testing it. And so there was a time that I ran an e-commerce store where I, like, in the early days of kind of the pinnable images that went straight to the product. And I because it was a Shopify store. So look, all those things did really well on Pinterest. And it was one of the ways I made money on the e-commerce store, was having all those products pinned on Pinterest. And then that became less effective. And so, that kind of that went down. And then these new things that I haven't tested out as many of the new features as are out there right now, because a lot of our products are printables. And so we're getting them into a form that would allow for that person to click through and purchase. So it's like one of those things that is, you've got to try it and then look at the data. And that's literally how every day of my life is try something, look at the data.
Yeah.
I love that you focus in on the numbers, because so often as business owners, I don't think we do. We don't pay attention to that. And if we don't pay attention to those things, then how are we going to know what ultimately works? Because sometimes I think certain things work. We just need tweak. We need tweak things, and then they'll really work. But if we don't know what is actually working, then we're kind of stuck. So for those who are interested, they're like, okay, I hear you, Kim, and I hear you, Holly and Jeff. Yeah, I got you. You're saying we can make money, we can drive traffic using Pinterest, but where would you recommend that they start? Like, what would be the first place for somebody who's just dipping their toe in, but their end goal is traffic and sales?
So I think one of the beautiful things about, Pinterest and is it gives you the ability to market different ways. So you don't have to have a whole store. In fact, to start this easily, one product, one service, one thing you're driving traffic to is optimal. And then I want you to think of all the ways. It's almost like your funnel, and if you're familiar with sales funnels, just meaning like your sales page or leading someone to a sale is down here. And then all these different pins and all these different social media posts can be the top level of attracting someone to that funnel. So let's say, maybe like for me, I have an alphabet coloring book. So like an alphabet coloring book is really great for someone learning letters. So I make a pin like, hey, is your preschooler learning letters? Here's a product for you. Well, also, what about letter of the day? So if maybe a kindergarten might be doing letter of the day. So here's another way to think about this same product with letter of the day. Now, one of the things that's really interesting about my coloring book is it's Zentangle patterns, which are kind of those elaborate, almost adult coloring page things. So then I can also say, hey, are you looking for a relaxing, adult coloring book? Well, my alphabet is also the same way. So it's the same product, but it can be marketed so many different ways on Pinterest through just a simple pin, because you're going to attract a different person with each of those pins. But quite honestly, all those people need that product. So it's just a really, really simple way to take one thing and multiply it, catching all the different people that might be on Pinterest that would be appropriate for a good fit for that product.
Good way of describing that.
We could just go home right now, because
I know.
Boom.
Oh, boom! She drops them. She takes her ear pads off and slams them down.
Yeah, mic drop.
So I want to ask this is a specific question, and it's going back to you hit a really good point for a lot of people about spending time on what works. And I think it's Chantel says this. She goes, I'd love to know, Holly, if your time is limited, what are your recommendations? What should be my focus? My Facebook page is over 20K. My email list is around 3,500 now, and I'm getting 30K views on Pinterest. My mind is spinning, so she needs help. What would you say?
So Chantel, you're doing amazing. Everything, you're putting all the things in place. And so what I would start doing is start using all these things in a way that are pushing towards one thing. So maybe you have, one of your blog posts on your blog is your best opt-in. So that's how you built your email list to 3,500, which is amazing. So like whatever one of those things is working the best right now, I'd start driving traffic from Pinterest and Facebook to that opt-in. And just like we talked about with the coloring book, like maybe your opt-in is, 10 ways to organize your house. Well, go out and figure out like 15, 20, 30 different ways you could pin that. New Year's resolutions are coming up, holiday, how to organize for the holidays, all these different ways that you can like put that out. You don't have to do it all today either. That's the beautiful thing is make a pin today, pin it, in 2 days, go look at the results. Did you get some click-throughs from that? Did it get some attention? And if it did, go repin it. And then like whatever you think, once you've made a few pins, when you see what is working, like, oh, it looks like, when I use red or when this certain font seems to get more attention than something else, or maybe a close-up or maybe a collage or maybe, whatever, keep in the back of your mind what's working. Like, oh, and then test it. Like, oh, well, let me try red in that same font for my next pin and just see how that goes. And so as you go along, you're like in a laboratory collecting data along the way. And so that every single pin you're doing has a better chance of working, which in a year from now, you're going to kill this. So all we need is just a little bit of data every single day. So you're pushing that opt-in that's doing really well. You're pushing it on Facebook. You're pushing it on Pinterest, because it's going to give you a higher ROI because you're going to get those people on your email list. And so we all know, we've all heard this a million times, that some people have to see things 7 to 10 times before they take action. How are you going to get them to see it 7 to 10 times if they're just on Pinterest or just on Facebook coming in? That's why we need them on your email list, so you can remind them, so you can drive them to other traffic places on your blog that might be talking about this, that you can, put it in your email, pin it on Pinterest. So, and one of the things that I love to do in my email is to share what my most popular pin is each week. So because it benefits me. I'm not so I put a pin out, it's doing well. I'm like, hey guys, do you want to see what my most popular pin is? If you're on Pinterest, you might want to pin it too. Right. And then they're seeing that product that I'm trying to put out in different ways. But each time it's in a different light or to a different audience or different, that feature or this feature. So it's not like, oh, Holly just pinned the same pin 10 times. No, Holly pinned the same, subject matter over maybe a week or two 10 times, but in very different ways. So even if you came across all 10 pins, you wouldn't be like, why is Holly pinning the same pin over and over?
Oh, that's genius.
One thing that Holly said when she was on my show, my Marketing That Grows Your Business show, I guess probably it's been about a month ago, but it really resonated with me, and it's so pertinent to what she was just talking about right now, is we have access to data points, a massive petri dish, if you will. That's the way she worded it, to where we can test all kinds of things. And in the past, when it came to marketing, before social media, all the data points that we now have at our fingertips, we couldn't access it. We couldn't afford it. Major brands would have to pay thousands of dollars to get data points on their customers. Y'all, we have that stuff at our fingertips, and it doesn't cost us anything except our time. Now, it does cost time. And I think that's a lot of time what our holdup is that we get wrapped up in the fact that, oh, I just want the magic bullet. Just tell me what the magic bullet is. Marketing does require us to test and pay attention and tweak. It's a constant iteration. It's not a one thing. Now, sometimes you will get lucky, right? Sometimes you get lucky.
It's all about luck. But if you don't have entries into the lottery and you don't know when you got lucky, and that's the thing, if you don't look at your data, then sometimes you don't even know like why things are happening.
Exactly. So, I mean, sometimes you get lucky, you put it together. I mean, you can get smart from a perspective of taking a look to Holly's point where she shares her most popular post. That does benefit her, but guess what? It benefits her people too. Because they can take a look at what does her pin look like? Like, how do I emulate that? How can I take components of it to create a pin that's going to work for me? So you can do some work smarter by paying attention to what is working for potentially others. But at the end of the day, you still got to do your own work, and figure out the pieces for yourself. But it's we have access to all this, and before social, we just didn't have it. So
we had to pay a lot of money for focus groups, is what it
was.
was.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, or even to get that next level of what's actually happening. And now all these networks just give it to us for free. And I would love that in general, we had a mind shift about, instead of like, oh, I've got to make 10 pins today, because I would say, if you look at your numbers, one amazing pin is worth 100 pins. So like, what if instead of saying, okay, I'm making 10 pins for this today, you went in and said, I'm going to see if I could just make something really amazing, and maybe we'll make 1 or 2 variations and test that out. And then like, so that we're using this data to lessen our workload. And I see this every day on Facebook is like, and less on Pinterest, because at least the images, most people are over there like are trying, but unintentional posting. Well, someone said, oh, you have to post 3 times today. So they just go post 3 times today. Like, the algorithms of these social media networks are not going to tolerate that for very long. In fact, many of them are moving away from it, so that they're going to start looking at the quality of your history. I mean, because that's what I would do if I was an algorithm, just to get rid of all the spammers. And so, like, if Pinterest, I want you to start thinking about Pinterest looking at you and saying, Holly, yeah, like pretty much, 7 out of 10 of her pins are really good. And don't you think down the road, Pinterest is going to show my pins more than someone else who just like pinned 50 things today, but didn't really pay attention to what any of them had done in the past, or, did a bunch of repins, but they weren't anything that had ever been clicked on before, or so forth. So that's what I'm always trying to do, is we might pin 10 things today, but we're only going to repin the things that do an average or above. And so that we're always getting to the point where every single time we're pinning, it's either has a better chance, or we already know based on the numbers that Pinterest already likes it, that people already like it, that follow me.
Yeah. Great point.
So we got a ton of questions. Keep them coming, but we also just don't like to ask questions. We also like to give away very cool prizes. And so we gave away an Amazon $15 card. We're now going to give away, and I'm telling you, I raved about this earlier in the week, the Tailwinds t-shirt. It's amazing. It is a super soft t-shirt. It's the soft, I sleep in it. That's how soft it is. It's amazing. So if I would do that and not just sleep in sandpaper or something, it's amazing. It's an amazing t-shirt. So here's the question. Remember, hashtag pin it to win it, then your answer. That way we can find it. And the question is, how often do you watch videos on Pinterest? So how often do you watch videos on Pinterest? When they go through the feed, do you stop? Do you, go, oh my gosh, another video? Or do you go, very, very interesting. So hashtag pin it to win it. Let us know how many times how often you watch and stop and watch those videos on Pinterest. That is the question. So, and by the way, that leads right. See how that works. It leads right into next week. We're doing how to make awesome video pins on Pinterest at our Pin to Profit Challenge. I mean, how smooth was that? You can just go to pintoprofitchallenge.com. It is totally free. It is amazing. I mean, for me, that's what I'm seeing a ton of on Pinterest. All the promoted pins are usually videos. I mean, it's just really popular. Pinterest is really like giving an extra boost to video pins right now. So if you want to learn how to make them and learn how to make them right and to drive traffic, you need to go to pintoprofitchallenge.com and sign up for it. It's totally, totally free.
So the interesting part about Pinterest is that it's been a slower evolution towards video. All the other socials have really embraced video. Why? Because it works. And we're seeing the same thing right now on Pinterest, where it's an interruption, a serious interruption in the normal, just static images, and people are loving it. So I saw some people that responded and said, no, they're not watching video on Pinterest, potentially because you're not seeing a lot of video yet on Pinterest. There's not very many people using it. The people that are using it, hint, hint, lean in, are spending money to get their video pins out there. Because why? Why would they do that? Let's think about that for a second. Why would people spend money on their video pins to get more people to see them? It's because they work. I'm just saying.
So I want to, because I mentioned seeing all the brands, and I just saw a statistic today from, Pinterest has a holiday hub they have right now where you can go and see what people are, and they had a stat like over 50% of pinners want brands to tell them good things to buy for the holidays. I mean, that's me paraphrasing. But is there any other platform where people go and want to hear from brands instead of muting them in the feed? So,
or they go to actually buy stuff.
Yeah. So, it's amazing that, it's a whole different way to think about it. It's not, it's people are going there to find stuff. They're not going there to, see baby pictures or, they're wanting to find things. So it's the intent. So anyway, I thought that was an amazing stat that they had up today.
Yeah.
So.
But, I'm looking at some that are saying, and here's Stacy is saying she's running a video ad right now. Excellent.
Cool.
And Karen is saying, not often, not too many to see. True. That is true. That's why the opportunity is knocking, guys. The opportunity to learn how to leverage video pins, and they're not hard. That's the beautiful part about it. We're going to teach that next week.
And because there is this point that they work for views, but they don't convert as well as static pins. And we're going to talk about that because there are some really cool things you can do because Pinterest is optimizing them now, and they are harder to get a click through. But if you do it right, there's some really cool hacks that we're going to show you about that. So, go to the pintoprofitchallenge.com and sign up.
And I'll just say that, it was that way for a while. It appeared that a lot of, my top pins still were like the static pins, but then every once in a while, a video pin would sneak into that. And so that's when you're looking at the numbers every single day, and looking at okay, what is it about this video pin that did better than some of my other video pins? Why are people actually taking action and clicking through? What's so beautiful about the video pins is because it actually stops people scroll, is that they don't even have to be as good as the static ones, because you're going to get a lot more eyeballs on it. So that next part, and that's why I love what you guys are doing, is that next part is to get that call to action really solid on that video pin, so that you are able to take some of those eyeballs and convert them into traffic or sales or wherever you're sending them.
Yeah.
And we had Amy Lacurdo on, and she's had some really good success she was on Tailwind show, and she had some really good success she actually was taking stuff she was sharing on TikTok or Instagram and then making video pins with those, but she did have a call to action and they were converting for her, and she was getting some really good success on that. So
yeah. And, taking what's working from other social media networks always is a good strategy to test. And so when you have that really kind of, I almost think of TikTok as kind of a pop art it's a little bit different as far as an art form. But think about it. If you're on TikTok, which a lot of people are these days, and then you're on Pinterest and all of a sudden you see something familiar, that's going to draw your attention away from a lot of the other stuff that looks very Pinteresty. So don't be afraid. One of the reasons why I'm successful on Pinterest is because my pins don't look like Martha Stewart. Because I would love to be able to cook and craft like Martha Stewart. But the truth is, that's not my people. My people are busy with kids and they want to throw something together really easily. And so my pins have to be that way, or else it's false advertising to whatever they're clicking through on. So even though they're not, we might, use pretty fonts and stuff like that, our photos are generally not as glossy as you might see from another website or something like that, because that's intentional. We want to bring through the fact that, hey, you can do this. Hey, this is something simple. Hey, your kids, you already have the stuff that you need to do this right now. Come on over and let's talk about it.
That's awesome.
I love
so
that.
Congrats to Lisa Balthazar for winning the Tailwind Super Soft T-shirt. Once again, make sure that you go to kimgarst.com/Pinterest winner and give us your deets so we can get that off to you. You will love it. Yeah, it's really awesome.
I'm salivating over it. I'm like, can I have one too?
I'm sure. We can probably throw one in for Kim. Yeah.
All right. So I know a lot of people are curious about this. I'm curious about it as well. And I get this question a lot. Have you seen certain types of images and or video pins even? We've touched a little bit on video pins that convert better for you on Pinterest from a traffic or even a sales perspective. What is like some commonalities or some common themes that you've seen that work really well?
Yeah, so like the little bit longer size does a little bit better for us than like a 4x6, which unfortunately is how I set up my site. So we're like literally got to go in and make new pins for a lot of stuff. But so like a little bit longer size, something really kind of stunning and simple. So like oftentimes, and if you go to, I'm Holly Homer on Pinterest, so I mean, what I love about Pinterest is you can just go like click on my pins and see everything I pinned today. So, so you can see what's working because we're not going to be pinning things that aren't working. Which I think is really important. Anybody who's successful on Pinterest is generally going to be that way. So go to their account, look at what they've pinned over the last few weeks, because it's going to show you really clearly the trends they're seeing. And you'll see, oh, that looks like a new pin. That looks like a new pin. Like they're doing that because of what they're seeing as far as the trends. So I'm dear friends with Amy Licurdo, and she has templates and stuff like that. And so like my business uses her templates because they're good. Mm-hmm. And it makes it really easy for someone who doesn't have like a design background to do a lot of this stuff. So a lot of times we're just switching out colors, or we're just switching out a photo, or we're just switching out something like that. But I would say simpler is better. And then like I would look at what's with that text. I think that's the biggest trends we see in Pinterest long term is how text is set up. As far as if it feels modern or if it feels like it's 3 years ago Pinterest. Right. And so that's what I would spend my time on, is really figuring out your text. And it's not about font as much as it is the spacing. And so that like when you're looking through, it feels right. And I don't even know, like you guys are better at this, especially Jeff, like you're a designer, so you know what that means. There's sometimes when you just look at something and you're like, nothing that is is going to get a click through. That's just right. Like, it's like false advertising. So it has to feel comfortable and familiar and right. All has to be right in the world.
and we talked about this also, and you touched about it a little bit, Holly, too, is we talked to some designers on Wednesday. So if you, that was Julie and Tina, and Julie's from Tailwind and Tina has incredible stuff from Simple Pin. But one of the things is you want to keep that design aesthetic, but also stand out in the feed. And yesterday they were talking about like, they're doing something with the colors and and it was Jennifer Priest talked about, she was doing IKEA stuff. It was all white, and she decided to make it black, and she got tons of click-throughs because that stood out. Now, she wasn't making it ugly or weird or something. It still fit in there, but it stood out. So I think that's super important as well. We do have some great comments I want to pull up, and I thought this is great because Stacy says, I alter some of my IG stories for video pins to fit this platform look. Yeah, that's it. Don't just throw stuff like willy-nilly, just going, oh, it worked. Make sure you look and see if it will work on Pinterest. Like Amy does that really good. She talks about, she has Hands and Pans, Amy Licurdo, and she does a lot of that. Well, that works really well over on Pinterest, and she just has to modify it a little bit. So that's a great one too.
Yeah, and I would mention,
sorry, go ahead.
I'd mention something about the colors just really quickly is, so we did like one of our top pins, and this is another thing that I do all the time, is I open up my analytics figure out what my top pins are, and then we make more pins, new pins for those pins, because Pinterest already likes the subject matter. We know people, are clicking through and stuff like that. So one of them was something that we made 4 versions, like a red, a blue. It was a real simple picture, just text. And then we made a red, blue, a mustard yellow, and then another color. I can't remember what it was. And the interesting thing is, in fact, what do you think was the top color?
Red.
Mustard.
It was mustard.
Uh-huh.
And not even by a little bit. Like we disposed of the other colors and just are doing the mustard.
It's so funny how
Interesting.
weird colors work. It
Yeah,
just
it just goes to show the testing is so important. And as you were saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, let me go look at my pins. And we've been doing that with blog content, but like I was thinking, oh my, we're not looking at those on a day-to-day basis. So that was a big aha moment for me.
Yeah, so like generally we might make several versions and then space them out a few days apart. And then especially if this is like a kind of, and my team has we have just fun with this because we're all about the numbers, like, who's gonna get the one that goes well. And so, and I was like, when I saw that mustard one, I was like, there's no way. I was like, it just didn't resonate with me, but I think it stood out on Pinterest. Right. And it was a really like simple image, and then the mustard above and below with the text. And I couldn't believe it, but it wasn't even close. Like it did 100 times better than the other 3.
Very interesting.
We have more prizes to give away, by the way. If we don't give these away, I'm going to have to load them up in my truck and haul them home. So we're going here for a selfie light. So we have these really cool selfie lights that click right on your phone. So we gave a lot of these away. So make sure. Oh, look, Kim's modeling it there. So they're very, very awesome. So we're giving that away with a new question. Remember, it's hashtag pin it to win it. And the question this time is, I believe this one. Yeah. We've been talking about this all day. What stops you in your tracks the most on Pinterest? Is it a good image or a good headline? So is it like, when we talk about headline, like text overlay on a pin. So what stops you in your tracks the most on Pinterest? A good image or a good headline? Hashtag pin it to win it. Let us know down below, and you could win a selfie light. So I wanted to pull up one more comment real quick, Kim, before, and you can ask the rest of the question. I'll shut up.
I was just going to do a clarifying question on our question. Are you referring to the text on the image or the image?
So what stops you the most in your tracks? The image or the text on the image? Like what?
Okay,
what makes your visual or the headline? Like, are you like a visual person, or are you like reading and like, how to make my own fire pit? I'm going to click on that. Kind of thing.
I just was clarifying.
Okay. Yeah. So, but this question, and I think this is, we've talked about video pins, and Nancy goes, will jumping into video pins be over the top for those of us new to Pinterest, or will be broken down easy enough for us to learn and follow? Well, one of Kim's zone of genius is that she can break stuff down that may seem complex to people, but do it in a way that is really, really easy to understand. So you want to make sure that you do sign up for this free one. And I try to do that as well as we're teaching. So make sure you sign that up. It's not going to be over your head. We're going to take it down step by step. What you need, we're going to be showcasing a really, really cool tool to use that really helps you make video pins really, really easily. So make sure you go check that out.
And on the cheap. I'm about the on the cheap too. Okay. So, so anytime I can help people do things inexpensively, and it's not just a matter of like showing you guys how to do this next week. You're going to leave there with pins, video pins, that you can use to drive traffic to specific things. So you do not, I'm telling you, I don't want to like try, prod you with a hot stick, but I'm telling, if I had access to something.
Go ahead, do it.
Do this. I'm just saying. Right. And you can always come, like if you can't make it live or whatever, you can always watch on the replays. But we've got a lot of really clever things planned out for you guys next week. So definitely, I know I kind of got off on a rant, but I'm just passionate about this. And anytime I commit to teaching somebody something, it's about breaking down the process and making it rinse and repeat for you.
Yeah. All right. So you can next. I had to bring that up because I thought it was pertinent. So, but Kim, you can ask the next question because I've.
Okay. So I want to dig into like where you spend your marketing dollars on Pinterest, and One, do you? Two, how do you decide where you're going to spend your money? I mean, obviously, it's on stuff that's already. Is it stuff that's already performing organically, or do you just test it using money first? I'm just curious as to how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to remember my background is completely, I'm on the cheap too. Like probably the cheapest person on
Your Crafting with Crap show is one of my
yeah,
favorite
Craft
shows.
with Crap is kind of the baseline. But one of the things I think is so powerful and overlooked about organic is how you can test all the things for free before you spend a dollar. And generally, Pinterest is like all the other networks. If something's doing well organically, it's going to be so much cheaper to put money behind it. So like for instance, if I have a product that I'm like, hey, let's make a whole bunch of pins. Let's go put those out there, see what's working. I'm going to be looking at which ones are getting the most attention, which ones are getting the most click-throughs. And then like, is that something that's, kind of continuing to be repinned, after a short amount of time? And if so, that's where I'm going to put my money. And I will, there's been seasons where I've spent a lot more on Pinterest than other times, because of course I'm also testing them against other networks as far as what, is Facebook going to get my money? Is Pinterest going to get my money? But the cool thing is about Pinterest, is that it's easier to stand out in the crowd on Pinterest. And like we talked about before, these people come here with a spirit of buying like no other network. And it's a lot of times because they're coming to search for something. Oh, I need a clever gift for so-and-so, or I'm looking for a sweater for this. So all these things make people on Pinterest a lot more likely to be an action taker to spend money with you, which makes your every dollar you spend on that an easier dollar to spend, because though you're talking to people who are already kind of primed to buy.
Mm.
Yeah, I want to give a stat here. I think this is really interesting, just from a perspective of buying things. Pinterest drives more referral traffic to shopping sites than any other social platform. Fascinating dynamic. 73% of pinners, so people who are sharing content or consuming content on Pinterest, have purchased something after seeing it on Pinterest. Mm-hmm. Try to match that up to Facebook or any other social platform. Not happening. The average order is $50, so people are willing to spend what I call a low-cost item without having a know, like, and trust factor with you. They're willing to spend that much money with you. And, most people who are purchasing, not all, but most, are women. So if your demographic includes a woman, then, it's a perfect location for you. But there's a lot of men on Pinterest as well. And it's growing the numbers that they're probably the fastest growing demographic. Well, yeah. So the point of it is that people go to Pinterest with the mindset, a totally different, maybe just a shopping mindset versus, checking out their, neighbor's kid's birthday party photos, So being smart with where we put our time and our focus and leveraging the power of Pinterest is honestly so much bigger than even the fact that there's a lot of people looking to buy on Pinterest. Pinterest is a search engine, so people are finding you without having a bunch of followers there. And I think that's also important. Do you agree, Holly, that you don't have to necessarily have a bunch of followers to get some success with Pinterest? Yeah,
in fact, I think it's really the only social network that I can think of. Maybe a hashtag might be, with a popular hashtag, you might be able to get some traffic. But like, you literally could start a Pinterest account today, pin something today that's going to get repins and out into the world. And I don't know that you really couldn't do that on Facebook. You couldn't really do that on YouTube. So I think it's really powerful. It's not really about the followers. I have a lot of followers over there because I've been over there for a long time, but I don't think that gives me that big of an edge over someone who might be starting with a smaller account today. It just isn't that way. And then once you so it gives you enough data to go ahead and test things out. so that then if you were going to put your money behind something, you're at least, you have some data as far as, oh, well, this is going to have the best chance at, at giving me a good ROI. And, I love the idea of Pinterest as a search engine because I think that's so true. And it's a visual search engine, which is the main reason why, like, sometimes you go to Pinterest over Google, is because you're able to just scan through the photos really quickly instead of reading a bunch of words. And so that makes it so much better for shopping and products and all that kind of stuff, because it's not just, 100 characters describing something. It's like, well, of course I want that sweater. It's amazing. But you can't say that in words. And so that's what's so fun about it. And like, we've known for years, even before Pinterest came around, that like things that are searched are purchased. So like my top affiliate posts and product posts on my blog are the ones that receive search traffic, because when someone's like, hey, I need a gift for my grandmother, they don't put that in there just, I don't know, like to, waste 50 minutes. They put that in there because they have the intent of purchasing something for their grandmother. So that's what's so cool about this, is when you add the search, which is already going to convert better on sales, with the images, which, is worth 1,000 words right there. I mean, it's just super, super powerful.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, and I'm sorry, Jeff, I was going to pull up this comment real quick, or a question real quick from Julie. Can you use Pinterest for a service, or is it product-based mostly? And I just wanted to give my personal perspective on this, because I don't have a physical product that I'm trying to sell on Pinterest, but I am driving traffic to my blogs where I, give them opportunities to get on my list, or I'm selling them something specific, a digital product or service. So I do leverage my digital stuff, my trainings, sell those directly, leveraging the power of Pinterest, but I'm not, selling my lip gloss and, I'm putting it in the mail to someone. So the reality of it is that, or the short answer is that all of us can leverage the power of Pinterest as a traffic source to whatever it is we are wanting to ultimately bring attention to. It could be a podcast. It could be, your other socials. It could be other stuff, which we're going to teach how you do that next week. I'm just saying, sorry, I keep coming back to that.
So that brings something up, because somebody asked in the comments, like, how much is the challenge? It's totally free. I know a lot of times people give these like webinars and free like weeks of stuff, and like they push you to a paid thing. This is totally free next week. So make sure you go sign up. There's a Facebook group that you become a part of. And Kim and I both are in there answering questions. We've already started doing that. So make sure you go to pintoprofitchallenge.com. And by the way, we do have a winner for the ring light. So let me pull that up. That is Jessica Butler wins the selfie ring light. So make sure that you go to kimgarst.com/Pinterest winner and enter your details there so we can get that off to you. I think do we have time? We have a big prize coming up at the end. Remember, it's the year of Tailwind. Our grand prize for the week is coming up. But Kim, should we do another one? Do we have enough time to give away your awesome mug?
I think this question that I'm just burning to ask, actually, I definitely want to ask it.
Okay, well, let's do this real quick, and then you can ask your question, because I want to make sure we get this off. So, have you ever created a video pin on Pinterest? That's we'll talk about it next week, but have you done one yet? I know somebody was running a video pin ad before, but hashtag pin it to win it. Let us know so you could win this mug that everybody's wanting us to sell, but we can't sell it. So you have to win it. So hashtag pin it to win it. Have you ever created a video pin on Pinterest? Your question now, Kim. You can go.
All right. So while we're waiting on everybody's answers to filter in, I know some have, because I saw someone was talking about their Pinterest, their video pins. So Holly, if you could go back in time and talk to a previous version of yourself that's just starting on Pinterest, what would you tell her?
I think it's all about the data points. I mean, it really is about the data points. And so, I think at first, especially on Pinterest, it was kind of an intimidating social network for, because we weren't doing the Martha Stewart thing, and an early Pinterest was all about these, beautiful parties and stuff like that. And that's not what Pinterest is, even though that seemed like what that felt like, it isn't. And so just putting things out into the world and putting out lots and lots of versions of it is what I would just recommend, because you're just always going to get more data points. You're going to learn more. Your process of learning is going to be faster the more data points you have out there. And so one of the things that we did after we kind of realized this, and I wish we had started it earlier, like everything, is that when we created a blog post, we would create multiple images within that blog post, especially with a roundup or a collection post of ideas, is that we would have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different, depending on how long the blog post was, different ways to promote it. So like, if it was, a bunch of cake recipes for birthday parties for kids or something like that, you might have a pin that's gluten-free cake ideas, because in that post you had a bunch of gluten-free cake ideas, or animal-themed cupcakes, and you'd have a pin. So you might have a blog post that has 150 ideas or 100 ideas, but each of the sections that would give you the ability to create a different marketing aspect for that pin. So and then that way you aren't making one pin or one series of pins for each blog post. You're able to multitask that blog post in multiple ways, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the product, is thinking about how are all the different ways I can get someone that is interested in this product, instead of just thinking about the one person that might, that you had originally thought about for that product.
I love that. I love that.
So we are coming close to the end of our time together for this Pinterest Palooza. It's been awesome. You guys keep those answers coming. A lot of great people some people are like, that's all they're sharing, our video pins, and other people are like, hey, we want to learn how. And like we've been talking about, most of the show is don't forget about the challenge next week, the free challenge you can get that and sign up for that. Kim, if you throw that up on the screen, you can just go there right now, get into it. It's Pin to Profit Challenge, totally free. We would love to see you guys there. Kim and I are both in there. A lot of people are saying, yeah, we want to learn and to find out more. So might as well. It's free. Come join us. It's going to be awesome. But Holly, as always, you're amazing. And of course, you're from Texas. That's probably half of the reason.
It's 95% of the reason.
Right. But I always love talking to you. You do such a great job. I love the data that you have behind all your decisions, and being able to share all that with people. But where can people find out more about you if they want to find all things Holly Homer?
All things Holly Homer. So I have hollyhomer.com that talks kind of about the behind the scenes of running an online business and blog. And I have a coaching group and that kind of stuff with that. But if you have children, I would direct you to kidsactivitiesblog.com and find me on Pinterest, where I have many, many boards that can keep you very, very, very busy on the cheap.
Right. I don't know, is that a Southern saying? But everybody gets it. We want to do our marketing as cheaply as we possibly can.
But go study her Pinterest board, and go study what she's doing on Facebook, because there's a lot of stuff that you can, I know I have, gleaned from the way she's doing things. And, you can kind of see oh, I see why she's doing that, because as you follow her, you'll see, okay, she's using that data point to make her decisions to share this kind of content. So it's worth going there and following her just to learn, even though it's really fun stuff too.
It's just fun stuff too.
Yeah.
And she's wicked smart. So y'all definitely need to follow along. She also, just hint, go back and watch the show. It's in the replays as well, where we talked about how she leverages Pinterest to make decisions on how she shares content on Facebook. Just saying, that was a strategy too. The winner of the mug is Sue Riddell. Congrats, Sue. Make sure you go to kimgross.com/Pinterest winner. Tell us where we send it, and we'll get it out in the mail to you. All right. We have one last massive prize to give away. Our sponsors over at Tailwind have gifted us the opportunity to give someone, a lucky winner, the opportunity to have a full year of their pro account. And that's valued at like $120. It's a pretty good prize. And like, well, if you haven't gone and signed up for their new beta, Tailwind Create, definitely do that at Tailwind Create. But the prize winner, all right, we got a little ball where we're picking it out. I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you guys can see the process here. Tara Kelly is the winner.
Very cool.
Tara, I don't know if she's with us live today, but we'll send her an email and let her know. If you are with us live, then go to kimgress.com/Pinterest, give us all your information, and we'll get you set up with your Tailwind account. All right.
That was fancy, by the way.
Yes.
Y'all are like stepping it up.
My team is just
They're amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
They're really incredible. They came up with this little wheel thing, and I'm like, y'all are just.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Impressive.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Holly. Thank all of you for coming for this entire. Some of you have been here every day of the week. We thank you so much. Thank you guys for sharing this out. This is still up. So if you have people that really would like to, you saw this content like, oh my gosh, you got to go check this out. You got to go check out Peg Fitzpatrick. You got to go check out Elisa and the Tailwind designers and Tina Gammon and Julie Hansen. All those people. Make sure that you go back and watch all this goodness. But make sure you go and sign up to the Pin It to Profit Challenge. Go pin2profitchallenge.com. Go sign up. It's totally free. We would love to see you there in the Facebook group. Kim and I are going to be inside of there answering questions. So make sure you guys go check that out. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing and liking and all your questions. And we'll see you over there at Pin to Profit Challenge. See you guys. Bye.
Take care, guys. God bless.